In 2000, Blockbuster had 9,000 stores and was worth billions. A small startup offered to sell them their entire business for $50 million. They laughed it out of the room. That startup was Netflix. Stay with me, because the reason they laughed is the same reason most people stay stuck, and it's exactly what this video is going to fix. Today, Blockbuster has one store left. Netflix is worth over $340 billion. They didn't fail from laziness or lack of money. They failed because they understood the world they were in and missed the one that was coming. That blind spot is what separates high IQ thinkers from everyone else. Because Blockbuster had every resource and still lost. So the real question isn't how smart you are. It's whether you think in these 4 ways. Miss them, and it doesn't matter how hard you work. Let's get into these 4 blind spots. Number 1. Most conflict is not about the argument. It is about ego. Think about the last argument you witnessed. Maybe it was between 2 people at work. Maybe it was online. Maybe it was closer to home. On the surface, it looked like a disagreement about facts, about who was right, about what actually happened. But here is what high IQ people see that others completely miss. The argument was never about the topic. It was about something far more fragile. Someone's sense of self was threatened. Someone needed to win, not because they were right, but because losing felt like disappearing. Ego does not argue to find truth. Ego argues to survive. And once you truly understand that, everything changes. You stop trying to win arguments and start asking a different question entirely. What does this person actually need right now? Because 9 times out of 10, the answer has nothing to do with the topic on the table. High IQ people don't disengage from conflict because they are passive. They disengage because they understood something the other person hasn't figured out yet. You cannot win an argument against someone who is fighting for their identity. And if you have ever been in that situation, you already know exactly what I mean. Drop it in the comments. And if you are not subscribed yet, do it now. Because what is coming next is the one understanding that changes everything. Number 2. Your own brain is your most unreliable narrator. Here is something most people will never admit. The moment you hear something, your brain does not store it as a possibility. It stores it as a candidate for truth. And the longer it sits there unopposed, the more permanent it becomes. Not because it was proven, but simply because it arrived first. Psychologists call this confirmation bias, but high IQ people experience it as something far more personal and far more unsettling. They realize that the very mind they trust to navigate reality is the same mind that is quietly selecting which reality to show them. You hear something about a person. Suddenly, every interaction with them gets filtered through that one thing you heard. You read one headline, and without realizing it, you are now defending that headline in conversations. As if you investigated it yourself, you form an opinion. And from that moment, your brain stops searching for truth. It starts searching for evidence that you were already right. This is not weakness. This is human. Every single person on this planet does this. But here's what separates high IQ people from everyone else. They caught their own brain doing it. And that moment of catching yourself, that pause where you ask, wait, do I actually know this, or did I just hear it somewhere and never question it? That is one of the rarest and most powerful things a human mind can do. Most people never pause. They just keep defending what they absorbed, arguing for things they never verified, building entire worldviews on foundations they never examined. High IQ people made a different choice. They decided that being wrong privately is always better than being confidently wrong publicly, and that one decision changes everything about how they think, how they listen, and how they move through the world. Number 3. Most systems are designed to keep you average. School taught you to memorize, not to think. Work taught you to follow instructions, not to question them. Social media taught you to seek approval, not to trust yourself. And most people never stop to ask, who designed these systems? And more importantly, who do they actually serve? High IQ people see something that the majority completely misses. Most of the structures built around you were never designed to help you reach your potential. They were designed to produce predictable, manageable, average human beings who don't ask too many questions. That is not a conspiracy. That is just how systems work. They optimize for the middle. They reward compliance. They punish deviation. And here's what makes high IQ people different. They felt that friction early, that feeling that something about the standard path did not add up, that the rules everyone else was following so comfortably never quite fit the way their mind worked. They did not rebel loudly. They just quietly stopped outsourcing their thinking to systems that were never built for them. And that quiet refusal, that single internal decision, is where everything begins to change. Number 4. Being misunderstood is the price of thinking differently. There is a moment every deep thinker experiences at some point. You share an idea, a perspective, a way of seeing something, and the room goes quiet. Not because what you said was wrong, but because it was too far ahead of where everyone else was standing. And for a long time, that silence feels like rejection. But high IQ people eventually arrive at an understanding that completely changes how they carry themselves through the world. Being misunderstood is not a flaw in your thinking. It is a confirmation of it. Because truly original thought will always sound strange before it sounds obvious. Every idea that changed the world was first dismissed, laughed at, or ignored by the very people it was meant for. That is not a coincidence. That is just how far ahead real thinking tends to land. So they stopped explaining themselves to everyone, not out of arrogance, but out of understanding. Some things cannot be translated for an audience that has not yet lived the questions you are already answering. They move in silence, they think in depth, and they have made peace with the fact that clarity about who you are will always be more important than the comfort of being understood by everyone around you. Just like Blockbuster, they had every resource, but they never saw the blind spot. Closing. High IQ people are not smarter because they know more. They are smarter because they stopped more. They paused where others rushed. They questioned where others accepted. They stayed silent where others needed to be heard. And here's the thing nobody tells you. These are not gifts you are born with. They are decisions. Quiet, daily, invisible decisions to think one level deeper than the situation demands. And if something in this video made you stop and think, even for a second, then you are already closer to that frequency than you realize. And if you are not subscribed yet, do it now. Not because we asked, but because this channel is one of the very few places on the internet where we talk about the things most people feel, but nobody actually says out loud. If this hit different for you, you already know what to do. Like this video and share it with someone who you think operates on a different level, because they will know exactly what we just talked about. And trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming next.